Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Friday. We like to have fun. It's like fun Fridays, right? We like to have a good time. We always like to have a good time on the show, even though we do talk about some extremely serious topics. And, the guest we have with us in studio right now, well, certainly a friend of the show. And, it's Las Vegas, and this guy is Mr. Las Vegas. The reason why I say that, we all know what casino hosts are. We all know what they do. They try to get action for the casino, put a few bucks in their pocket as well. But the misconception of it is you don't have to be working at a specific casino to be a host. And Steve Sear is what I would call a super host. Not only does he have great parties at his house, I've known him for probably over a decade, but he is probably one of the most world-renowned hosts on the planet. Also, his book, Whale Hunt in the Desert, Secrets of a Vegas Superhost. We'll be giving away a copy of his book here in just a little bit. Steve Host has worked with people like Michael Jordan, like Larry Flint, just a few of his clients that he's worked with. And he joins us in studio. See, Steve, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
Do I owe him money or what? Thank you for that introduction.
Well,
and thank you for coming to my house parties.
I always love
it. I invited about 34 people, and 33 showed up to watch my Kansas City Chiefs win.
JD, where were you? Where were you?
No, I had to deal with some things at my home.
Okay,
I've got
right. It was just
fine,
free chicken wings and a lot of hot girls. Brian, it wasn't that much fun.
Speaking
right?
of hot girls,
Were they Tap House wings?
They were twice baked. Tap it, little plug there.
Nope, nobody cares about the wings. Let's talk about hot girls.
I care about wings.
So there is an extremely hot girl that is in studio right now. It's funny because I'm at Steve's house the other day, and I walk in and I say, Steve, let's set the line on the over-under on how many, ex-girlfriends you're going to have at his house. I set the line at 4, and the over came in. A lot of attractive women at his house. But the woman we have with us in studio right now, her name is Nadia Nicole. She is a former Playboy model, and she is also known as the Parlay Princess. We'll get to that because she's very good in the world of sports betting. And I know she has a lot of notes in front of her, too, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. But Nadia, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
So I heard a rumor, Nadia. I don't know if this is true or not. I heard a rumor that Steve does not allow you in his house unless you're not wearing a bra. Is that true?
I'm pretty sure that's
Allegedly.
a rule everywhere in town.
That's house rule. That's stated. That's standard operating procedure.
Apparently, it's a rule at the Vegas Take in the studio as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a Vegas rule, I'm pretty sure.
Anyway, you're very beautiful. Thank you for being here. You're wearing a San Francisco 49ers hat. I want to get to your sports handicapping in a little bit. But, Steve, I mentioned Michael Jordan, Larry Flint, just some of the clients. Can you name a few more of the prominent clients that you've had over the years?
Well, obviously Montel Williams, he's really cool. Interestingly enough, Brian, stars and those guys are usually stiffs. My big customers, you would never know that they had 2 cents, So, yeah, I do have a couple, Larry's obviously a billionaire and great player and brings millions of dollars. But it's not like you think. Stars are stiffs and they want things my guys are one of my biggest players invented the Erie lure, the flip thing on the fishing lure. I don't think he finished high school, but he brings $250,000 every month for the last 17 years.
Can I just say, it's funny you mentioned the word stiff because carrying in your hand right now, you have sex pills. So we had this guy in studio yesterday who sells sex pills. Because,
I listened.
Because the Porn Expo's in town, and I noticed we had some samples in our producer's office, and you decided to help yourself
this one says make every shot count, so that's a whole other show. But your producer actually said that they wanted people to test it before they could honestly talk about it, right?
Absolutely.
Could be a sponsor of the show. So
God, I wish that could be my dating life.
So I'm willing to be the guinea pig and see if make every shot count is what it says.
And then
fair.
We'll write up a review and we'll put it on our website.
Steve,
JD, very good.
Steve, you're gonna have to fill out a form or something because if you die, it's not our fault. Okay.
Right. Well, I did hear on the show when JD or somebody asked, "Is it FDA approved?" and the answer was, "I don't know."
Right.
I don't know if that was a setup, but I really heard that. Right.
So, Steve, how long have you been a host for?
33 years. I was 22 when I started.
It's incredible. Okay, in your 33-year career, don't have to mention the name. You can if you want. Most money one of your clients lost in one night?
$7 million.
Holy smokes.
Unreal.
What was this client playing?
The car I'm driving right now was from that commission, and my daughter.
How much commission did you make that night?
A lot.
I'm going to guess you made maybe $500,000.
No.
Not
no,
that
no,
much.
No,
Okay.
not that much.
But six figures.
Oh, yeah. My daughter's college, first year at
I'm
the
going to
University
say
of Oregon.
$225,000.
Okay, so for people that don't understand, explain to people
That's pretty good.
explain to people how this works. So
Well,
you bring a client. Go ahead.
It's different in different jurisdictions. So at my level, there's several hundred casinos in town. I'm what's called a licensed junket rep. Junket is an old Vegas term.
Junkie.
Junket.
Oh, junket. Okay, I'm sorry.
Rep.
Go ahead.
You have to go through the Nevada rectal exam, which is not fun. I've only lived in two places in my life, and it was $38,000 in 1999. I've never been arrested ever in my life. And they went back and interviewed my high school teachers in Salina, Kansas, and I paid for it up front. So you have to go through that. You get a license, and I can legally earn on theoretical loss in this jurisdiction, the action. I'm going to talk to you like you're in fifth grade, but if you bet $100 a hand and you play 4 hours a day, we should win a bet an hour. I know it seems like it should be more, but it's not. So your theoretical loss is $400. I get 16% of that $400. So I hope you win. If you win, what happens, JD? You bet more, you play longer, hence higher theoretical. I don't want you to go blow quick.
But do you? Yeah, that's what my dates tell me too. So when you have a personal relationship with one of your clients, and I would imagine a lot of your clients are friends of yours, right? You want them to win.
Same personality, yeah.
But if they win, you're not making the same amount of money as if they lose. For example, if this guy won $7 million, you wouldn't have been able to.
My cap would be lower, and
so that's a difficult. How do you deal with that?
It is, and in other jurisdictions like California, I only get lost 10 to 12% loss. No, there's times where I've thrown up in a trash can. Literally, there's one Super Bowl story. I took a group to the Barona when the Raiders played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'd worked on this guy for over 2 years, flew his whole family in on a Gulfstream, and he was down $1.9 million, betting $50,000 a hand. He loses
playing
this.
Blackjack?
He doubles down on like 9 against a 9 because he didn't care. We were about to go to the game, and if he loses that hand, I make 10%, $200,000. I'm spending the money in my head. Literally, I can pay off this. I'm going to do this and that. He wins the double down.
Oh my God!
John Elway's playing next to him. True story. John Elway's down about 90,000, just betting $1,000 a hand, even if he wins or loses. Okay, kind of a weird, dorky guy, but whatever. He's friends with my whale. He wins it all back. He in the next 2 shoes betting $1,000 a hand. He wins the $2 million back and another $1.7 million more. He has a $3.7 million swing before we go to the game. I make nothing, zero.
And deep down inside, it has to be driving you crazy.
I literally was about to throw up in the trash can. I couldn't believe the run he got on, and then he didn't take care of his host appropriately. Let's just say that.
Oh, no.
And then even on the way to the game, he's selling his tickets from Caesars. I got him a skybox and everything. And, of course, he's happy, and I got happy for him. And Elway gets out. He starts giving Elway 10 or 20 grand. He goes, John, grow some balls. Bet 10,000 a hand. Elway wins. I make zero. I'd worked on him forever.
That is sickening.
Yeah, that was tough.
Oh, my God. That is unbelievable.
But did he return?
Yes, because that was his lucky place. And over the long haul, you have to think, it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's an excellent point, JD. Yeah, I got it back.
Okay. That is sickening. By the way, Steve Sears' book, it is called Whale Hunt in the Desert, Secrets of a Vegas Super Host. I think we should take a few phone calls, and maybe the best question on the air will win your book. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's cool.
So if you have a question in the business of being a host, casino industry, that sort of thing, if Steve likes your question, we will give you a free copy of his book, which is called Whale Hunt in the Desert, The Secrets of a Vegas Superhost. And don't worry, we're going to get to Nadia in a little bit. We're going to talk some sports handicapping because I know you know what you're doing. So
and, she's not just pretty. When I first met her, I thought, okay, hot girl, whatever. And she brought all these notes. And the next thing you know, she hit a $15 parlay for $45,000, and she's hit other $20,000 parlays. And it's
we definitely
no BS.
need to.
It's unbelievable.
We definitely need to get to that.
And she has a little algorithm that I don't know how she came up with it, and it's confusing to me, but she'll walk you through it. It's crazy cool.
So let's open up the phone lines. Questions for Superhost Steve Sear. Again, he's worked with people like Michael Jordan, Larry Flint. His stories are endless. Let's open up the phone lines, 702-257-5396. If you want a copy of Steve's book, ask him a question on the air right now. If we like your question, we will give you a copy of the book.
And not what's the craziest
I'm in the
thing
middle
you've
of
ever
reading
seen.
it right now.
It is a very good book.
Some awesome stories.
It's a very good book.
And I can relate because I think I remember like some of those things happening at Hard Rock.
We met at Hard Rock.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we both worked at Hard Rock in the heyday, which it's sad it's going to close, but we're excited for the new version.
702-257-5396, the number to call if you have a question for Superhost Steve Sear. Why don't we start off with Jennifer? Jennifer, you are on with Steve. Thanks for calling in. What's your question?
Hi, good morning. I was just wondering if any of these whales and the celebrities and everything that you give comps and because they're rich, but they still, like you said, want everything free. They do in Hollywood. Do they ever kind of return the favor other than just your commission, like invite you to parties and
Yes,
like the Oscars and the red carpet and all these?
Yes, I'm really lucky. I get to sometimes live the lifestyle of the whale. From Kentucky Derby, I got to go to Greece for 2 weeks on a private yacht. Costa Rica, I had a guy's 75th birthday. I thought we were going to die. He wanted like level 5 whitewater rafting, and I went with him. And a few Super Bowls. Yeah, no, being a host is really cool. You have to. Brian made a good point. You've got to draw that line. I'm your friend, but if you owe, that marker bounces, that's a felony, buddy. Yep. So, but yeah, I get to a lot of cool stuff, and so that's why I like being in casinos. Not 30 years ago, but over the years, and you go up through the ranks, and yeah, you get to do all the fun stuff.
Jennifer, I like your question. Yeah, you just won a free book, so please stay on the line.
All right.
We are going to get your information, and you just won Steve's book.
Still a host? Are you still a host?
Yeah. I work for 9 casinos around Las Vegas, and locally here, the Palms is kind of my home, and then also the Baja Mar I do a lot with in Viejas in California.
Jennifer, we appreciate that question. You just won a free book. Again, that book is The Whale Hunt in the Desert: Secrets of a Vegas Super Host. So the misconception about hosts is that they have to work for that casino and they can't be independent hosts.
Correct.
You have been independent hosts in your life. You've also worked with casinos. So can you explain the difference there and talk to me a little bit about that?
Right. When you first start, you need to be a corporate host. I don't play well with corporations. I've been fired 9 times. That wasn't supposed to be funny.
Could you imagine?
That wasn't. But because why players are power, I didn't have a lot of players. I first was a cash host, which means if you bought in for $300 at Caesar's Palace on a dice table, hi, I'm Steve, and where you staying, and get their information. And then I opened up to telemarketing, and then after 15 years of that, I had so many players, I could be independent. So like when I was with the Palms last year as an actual employee outside of the state of Nevada, I could still be an independent. So I'm like a travel agent, one-stop shopping for hosts. You freezing your ass off in New York, let's put you on your cruise line, and I earn. Let's go down to Baja Mar. You want to chase TNA? Oh, we should stay at the Palms. I got the family. I want to play golf. Viejas. You golf. Mom goes to SeaWorld with the kids, and I earn. So I just, instead of many hosts, I just have one, and I cut their deals. But at my level, Brian, it's not just get me Celine Dion tickets in a room. It's, can I split aces 4 times? Can I double down after a split?
Of course.
If I lose $100,000, do I get a discount? If I pay you right away, can I get more? If I play 4 hours at this average bet, can I get so much in promotional chips? Can you fly me in up front and pay my airfare? I negotiate about 20 to 30 different items on their behalf.
Can I ask you, though, is it realistic in the scene in casino? It's one of my favorite casinos where they have man, I think he's Asian. Can I say that? Is that fair? And he is playing Pai Gow or something. And in the scene in casino where he's up a couple million and he's about
plane
ready,
breaks.
He's about ready to get on the plane, and then they bring him back.
That's happened.
That has happened before, and then he goes back and spends all his money. So that has that. Can you give me an example? I'm not implicating yourself.
I believe it was
The first
KJ
chapter in your
Ichikawa.
book.
Yeah.
The first chapter in your book.
Talk to me a little bit
When you
about
keep
that.
them there.
Yeah, no. Listen, our job is to keep them there, keep them happy. If they win, they win. But I definitely have persuaded and done things not as bad as the play. But yeah,
Tell
shit.
him- tell him
I'm
the
sorry.
story- tell him the first
yes,
chapter.
that happens. That happens.
Because you do something like that in the book. There's a chapter where
I know. Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
Steve wants to talk.
I don't. Can we go to the hot girl now?
All right.
No,
We will get to the
All
hot
right,
girl.
it's a good, fair question, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. The number to call is
I've never seen him blush before.
The number to call is 257-5396. Again, if you have a question for Steve Sear, the super host, let's go to JD. JD, you're on the line. You have a question for Steve Sear. What's up, JD?
Hey, Steve, I don't know if you could tell us the strangest request you've ever had from a customer of yours that you could tell the story on the air.
Well,
and a question, did you ever know Bill Barry, casino host at the Hilton?
Yeah, great guy. Absolutely.
Great guy.
I was at the Hilton for a decade, so they finally fired me, but they have to pay
That's a
me.
good-
They have to
him
pay
and
me
his
a
dad
pension
used to
now.
work
But yeah,
there.
That's a good question that JD just asked. The weirdest request
well,
you've ever had.
here's the thing: is one thing I think people stereotype think all we do is help them get drugs and everything. In 33 years, JD, I can count on one hand The guy that really wants to do ecstasy and coke and all day, that's not my guy. My guys are addicted a little bit to TNA, but more to just the rush, the rush and the gambling. No, they're more about the guy that wants to do glow sticks and be in the nightclub all night. That's not my guy. Okay, my guys want to deal and want to gamble. Okay, I have one guy.
A lot of gamblers don't even like to drink. They like to stay sober while
I have one guy, Brian. I'm not making this up. I have to strain yogurt through cheesecloth. Well, the butlers do, and I don't know if it's the part it catches or that comes through, but that's his butter for his toast. And he likes a certain type of toilet paper, and it's just about value. And he likes a certain type of dealer, and he'll go through and think if they're lucky or unlucky. So it's more about superstition stuff. I have $1 million player, true story. He came with a soothsayer or whatever you call it. And, of course, where are the best suites on the top floor? All of a sudden he said, no, we have to be on the 8th floor. I had to move like 62 rooms of standard rooms because that's where they wanted to stay. He lost $3 million. I was like, dude, get a new soothsayer.
But this is an important question because I would imagine, look, if a guy's willing to lose $7 million in one night, like you said, he's probably worth hundreds of millions of dollars. However,
in that case, yes, but a lot of cases, no.
That was my next question. If you have a client and you're not really close to them, but you don't want them to lose everything in their bank, in their bankroll. A guy has about maybe $500,000 to his name, fairly decent player, and he loses every single dollar in his bank account. And he is a degenerate gambler, and you are making money off of him being a degenerate. How do you handle something like that? And has that happened before?
Yeah.
Where literally you had a client that cleared out his entire bank account. He's got a daughter that's trying to go to college.
Yes. Damn it, yes. Look, in my younger days, I definitely burned out too many people, and when I was in my late 20s, I could give you $250,000 in credit as long as there was ink in my pen. And so I've grown up a lot, and I'm a lot more conservative now. But I had a guy I picked up literally a story in the book. We changed his name every Wednesday for over a year on Mr. Hilton's Hawker. Pick him up in the morning. He'd go to work at 8, yell at his employees. I'd pick him up at 9, have him back by 5:30. And he was gambling every day, and now he comes up on Southwest. Let's just say that. It was bad. And there was one particular time where he needed to win $500,000 because he was building something in San Diego that you've all been to today. And
the wall? Trump's wall?
SeaWorld?
He needed it to cover, and I really believed then he was going to shut it down. And the worst thing happened. He won like $720,000. We had some Cristal. He's like, I'm going to run it up to $1 million, buddy. And I had the check on me, and we almost got in a fist fight in the bathroom. I didn't want to give it to him, but I knew he would go to Caesars because he was a rounder. Anyway, and I gave it back to him, and the rest.
Oh, my God.
Now, what about accreditation? What if, there's, like, for example, if you raise $2 million from someone and their net worth is $4 million, you can't raise that type of money. What if someone wants to bet $6 million and they've only got a net worth of 12? Can they do that?
Well, it doesn't really work that way, GD. Like, if a guy, make it real simple, guy wants a $10,000 credit line, a marker is a check. It's a fancy word for check. It's a felony if it bounces in our state, not in other states. So you need low 5 in your bank account. It's really as simple as that. I can't give you $10,000 if you got $300 in your checking account, because when it goes, Your Honor, I'm not going to win that court case. And I've testified in 20 of those. I didn't know. We have a central credit. It's like the TRW of gaming. I know how much you've played. You can't just come out of the woodwork and I want $1 million credit line, and nobody posts anymore. 99% of my players play on casino credit.
So Michael Jordan, you've worked with him before in the past. I certainly don't want to put you in a position where you have to trash or badmouth one of your former clients, but you know what everybody says about Michael Jordan, that he's one of the worst tippers on the planet.
And that's not true.
So tell me.
Yeah, Stiffen Pippen for sure. Scottie Pippen. Oh my God, I came out of my pocket for $200.
Did you really explain what happened there?
Well, I had them both in, and they had golf clubs and everything. And Mr. P is like, he gave him like $4. I mean, that was unbelievable.
The caddy or the valet or what are you talking?
Bellman. Back then, our bellman would pick them up, be your limo driver, and take them to the room.
So you're telling me
Michael in front of me was always very good to the staff and always very good to all the boys.
So you're telling me you set up Pippen and Jordan. I would imagine everything was comped.
Correct.
You have them at one of the nicest hotels in Las Vegas.
12,000 square foot suite.
You give them transportation. You give them everything. And you're telling me Scottie Pippen pulls out 4 $1 bills?
Something like that. It was.
That's
really
embarrassing.
It was.
So what does a guy like Jordan tip a bellman?
$100 every time just for a couple.
And that is more than fair.
Every time. Yep, every time.
then
And
why
I don't
is
care if it was just a limo across the street or to dinner or
But
that.
Steve, then why is it? Because I hear the top two people are Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan, and I know Tiger Woods is a horrible tipper because I dated one of his ex-girlfriends, and I've heard some stories that are ridiculous.
Really?
But yes, I did. But
wow.
Her name is Jamie. I'm not going to give her last name. But anyway, I lived with her for a little while. But anyway, going back to Michael Jordan. Okay, why is it then that there are so many people that spread? Because I've heard the stuff about Pippen.
I don't know. Maybe in just in front of others, but around me and we interacted. I don't know, 20 different times, and from the golf course and everything. And I played him one-on-one. I got to play in the Michael Jordan Senior Flight School a few years. I mean, it was really cool. I've got his cell number.
You played one-on-one against Michael Jordan, and you had his cell phone
He beat
number.
me 10-4. He beat me 10, and I have it on tape too.
So why are we not calling Michael Jordan right now to confirm this story? So what does Michael Jordan bet? What's an average bet for him at the blackjack table?
Again, and it's all relative. I mean, the guy was worth hundreds of millions. Like 10, 15 grand. He'd never lose millions, Brian. I mean, he wasn't that kind of player, but he'd lose,
because there's a lot of people that say
and that's a miscellaneous number to him. It's like us losing a couple $100. We're not happy, but it's not going to change our life.
So did you ever have any personal conversations with him at all? Like, for example, there's a lot of speculation that the year he decided to play baseball, there was a gambling scandal, and the NBA said take a year off. The late David Stern, said take a year off. Is there any truth or evidence to that? What do you think about that?
We never talk personal like that. It was always just about cool, fun, current events or stuff. But I never, and I would tell you, but no, I have no knowledge of any of that.
I think that had to do with his dad getting murdered, Brian.
I don't know.
Which is terrible.
But that's what that was more so about. Did you ever have any athletes that you were hosting ask you or attempt or even wager on professional sports in Vegas?
No, but there's no doubt that I think some of them do. But I had a couple of professional athletes that were really good, and I think they were really good about not sharing that information because they all know that was taboo. And this is a long time ago.
Right. Is there
that is the one thing that is going to be taboo.
You don't have to give out the name. Of course, we'd love it if you did. But is there a celebrity that you've worked with that just requested like 3 or 4 hookers, snorting cocaine off of them or anything like that?
No,
like a real womanizer.
No, a lot of womanizers. But you know what? They didn't have to request because at that level they bring their own.
Right.
They don't need me for that.
They bring their own hookers.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Well, or seeking arrangement,
Have you ever had a situation where you had a prominent client and he had multiple women and he shared with you?
Yes.
You're not going to get. You're not going to
shoot.
You're not.
That's their tip. They're like, hey,
You're not going to. Can I just say you're
not simultaneously.
I've never taken $1, but I've taken some trade. And that's from my gaming license. I've never taken $1 from a girl. But
something
I've
tells
taken
me he's
some
not going to get these same questions on VSiN, but I could be
All
wrong
right.
on that. I don't know. If you're just joining us,
That was a good question, Brian.
Consider
Really,
now.
that was a good question. Yeah, it was solid.
Nadia's here. Can we?
Well, that's what
that was making you blush.
That's what I'm such a jerk.
good.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Okay,
I mean, I can't lie.
Nadia,
He's my friend.
I appreciate that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break, and Nadia is going to be the star of the show in our next segment.
Oh,
All right.
Nadia,
I don't do well.
just for the record,
And
okay?
we need a Super Bowl parlay, right?
Yes. So we're gonna get her picks and all that. Can I just say this really quickly? Having a beautiful woman in studio, having somebody beautiful every day like JD is really a luxury. I just wanted to say that, JD.
I really appreciate that, Brian.
I'm just
I have to ask, why do we have the My Pillow guy here?
Oh, we'll explain how we decorate our studio.
Brian has an emotional connection with both of these.
We'll explain how
I'm
we
looking
decorate
forward to
our
that
studio.
story.
Well, trust me, we'd rather have Nadia in studio every day than Ocasio-Cortez cardboard cutout. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and she is known as the Parlay Princess, Nadia Nicole. We're going to get some of her picks for the Super Bowl coming up next. And, of course, so he is the super host himself, Steve Sear, in studio as well. We're going to have some fun when we come back. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. By the way, a reminder, this is going to be a titillating interview. I'm sorry, I just have that word on my mind. Welcome back to the show. William Mercy is his name, and he actually spent time behind bars with Jeffrey Epstein. He was in the same jail as Paul Manafort. He was treated like a terrorist for tax fraud, and he was going to be joining us on the show coming up in hour number 3. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be pretty awesome. I promise you that. But also something else that's pretty awesome is, it's a sausage party in studio here all the time. All due respect to all the gentlemen that we have in studio, but we have an extremely knowledgeable sports fan and very attractive woman in studio. Her name is Nadia Nicole. She sits right next to her friend Steve Sears, Superhost. She is known as the Parlay Princess, and the reason why they called her that is because she's made an enormous amount of money with parlays. She's very knowledgeable when it comes to sports. She's wearing her San Francisco 49ers hat, and if you don't believe how hot she is, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to embarrass you. I was talking about JD. I'm just kidding. But if you don't believe how beautiful she is, you can go on YouTube right now on our Vegas Take page if you do not believe me, okay? But anyway, Nadia, thank you for being here. So how did you guys meet? How did you meet Steve?
We met at Hard Rock about 15 years ago, I want to say.
She was a teenager.
That's where I met. That's right. I met Steve.
Not a teenager.
I met
I'm
Steve.
just old.
You know how I met Steve? I met Steve at Hard Rock too because I'm a degenerate, and Steve is a great host over there. So I wanted to tell the story real quickly, Nadia. This is when I had started out to have a fantastic appreciation for Steve. He knew I was in radio. I'm not a huge gambler, right? I mean, I gamble. I'm not a huge gambler, but he invited me to this party where he invited his high rollers to the suite at Hard Rock, and he gave us.
I was there.
Yeah,
she was one of the.
Was that the Miss Hard Rock contest?
Yeah. So it was called the Miss Hard Rock contest, where he gave his.
She won.
Yeah, I won.
He gave his clients chips. And so that would force the women to flirt with the clients, because the more chips they got, the better chance they had of winning the contest, and it was a big prize.
So they had to interact with every player.
Exactly, even the most disgusting people like me, of course.
The more fake chips I gave you to give the hot girls.
It was genius.
Thank you.
And Steve, there's no other host in town that did that kind of stuff.
Was genius.
So I'm like, I love this guy. But anyway, that's probably the first time I met you. It was way back 15 years ago when I had
Can't
hair.
believe you don't remember.
When I had hair on my head. I know, it's hard for me not to remember somebody like you. I don't know. I did date a few people, by the way, from that party. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that off the air. But anyway. All right, so Nadia, my understanding is, you're called the Parlay Princess, but before we get to your sports handicapping success, you modeled in Playboy. You were in a Playboy mag. How does that happen? Does Hugh Hefner give you a call? I mean, no, but really, I'm curious. Obviously,
it's actually a funny story because I grew up in a really, really small island. I graduated with 32 kids. I always wanted to be in Playboy. It was kind of thing. So we had a senior roast. So they actually gave me 2 melons and antennas.
I noticed that. Yes,
I got my first boob job in high school. So
okay, so hold on, back up here. You're how old when you get your boob job?
My first boob job, I was 18, so I did it on Christmas vacation.
So what do you?
I didn't even know
in high
that.
school.
How does that go with your family, with your parents? Like when you go that first conversation you have with your mom.
That's
hey, Mom,
another funny story.
Yeah.
So my mom always said, my mom and me had a very trusting relationship, and she always said I could get whatever I wanted, no questions asked when I was 18, as long as I never took a puff of a cigarette. She says, I don't want you smoking. We had a very honest relationship to this day. I've never taken a puff of a cigarette.
Your mom is wrong. You are smoking. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I ended up.
So instead of a car.
I asked her to pay for my boob job. She didn't want to pay for the whole thing, so she paid for half. And
she paid for one of your boobs.
She paid for one of my boobs.
By the way, kudos to your mom. I love your mom, by the way. All right.
Everyone loves my mom.
So you decide to get a boob job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say unusual, but maybe it is for an 18-year-old. Perhaps.
I agree.
I knew I was going to be in Playboy.
Usually women that get that sort of thing are in their 20s or 30s, maybe even 40s, right? But you decided to do it when you were 18.
Yes.
So if somebody goes up to you and says, what are you doing? You're obviously you're very pretty. You're very beautiful. You don't need plastic surgery. What would be your response to that?
I don't need anything.
But you just wanted it because
Did it give you more confidence?
But I want it all.
So it wasn't for some scumbag guy who said, I want your boobs to be big.
Absolutely
It was because you want. Okay, that's fair.
I don't think I've ever in my life done anything for a guy. And most of them tell me,
that's not what Steve
don't
tells
do
me.
it, don't. And then you're like, yeah, okay, it's not for you, it's for me.
Well, you know what? Then I respect that. What I don't like is when women say, well, I did it for my husband or I did it for my boyfriend. I'm like, you did it for the wrong reasons. Do it for you. All right. So
I did it because I knew I was going to be in Playboy.
Okay. So you grow up on a small island. How did you know when you were 18 that you were going to be posing in Playboy? How did you know that?
I think it's just, I don't know. Being raised in such a small area, you have big dreams, and those dreams just seem like anything can be a reality. And trust me, when I got it, instantly wanted to go do backflips off of a motorcycle because I felt like there was anything I couldn't do because it was the one thing
But most
wanted
women,
to do, and I just accomplished it.
I don't want to
And
speak for most women, but I think most women, if they decided to pose naked for the world to see, they would be, because you're telling me you have anxiety just going on a radio show.
I do. Isn't that strange?
But yet
That's
you
what
don't-
everyone's first thing is. They're like, Nadia, you're the most outgoing person we know.
But you understand my question, right? You have anxiety
Absolutely.
going on the radio, and yet you're telling me at the age of 18 you had no problem showing the world your body. I could see why, but you have nothing to be ashamed of. But you understand my question. What made you decide you're fine showing your body to the world?
It's a completely different experience when you're in a photo compared to when you see someone's eyes like looking at you or looking you down thinking damn girl, you look good without for the
record,
a photo. I don't see or feel any of those
for the record,
thoughts.
I've been doing that with my eyes for 40 minutes. So you pose for Playboy, you become popular obviously.
And by
overnight.
the way, my mom was at every photo shoot there.
Was she really? How about your dad?
No.
Your dad. What does your dad
But
think
my
about this?
dad was the one that took me to the audition and I got it.
You ever
And
met Hugh Hefner?
I have many times.
So what was that like? What was he like? Like you recall
he's antisocial. He's surrounded by the girlfriends usually at that time.
So is he wearing like a robe or recall the first time you met Hugh Hefner? What was that like?
The first time I met him, I didn't meet him at my shoots. I didn't meet him at the audition. I met him at a party, one of the parties, because I went.
What did he
almost
say to you?
all of them.
What was the
I was
conversation?
just hi, and
He didn't try to
you
do
look
anything with
beautiful.
you?
No, never.
Really?
So you posed
Quite
in
a-
Playboy,
quite a
but
gentleman.
You didn't live in the mansion.
I did not.
Did Hugh Hefner ask you to live in the mansion?
No. I just I went to almost all the parties for about 3 years.
So you went to a lot of parties in the Playboy Mansion. Name me
Mm-hmm.
some of the celebrities that would hang out on a regular basis in that party, particularly maybe some of those celebrities that did hit on you at times.
It's usually all athletes, and then
Give me a few.
I'm really, really, really bad with names. But especially then because I wasn't into sports at the time.
And this was what,
but
1998, 2000.
yes, but the most obnoxious one, and he lives up to the legend, is the famous. He's famous for being like a Playboy scum. He's a
You must be talking about Garoppolo. No, I'm just kidding.
Athlete.
No, he's short, really heavy,
talking-
known for his
Are you talking about Chris Wynn?
Are you talking
Ron Jeremy.
Ron Jeremy. Ron Jeremy.
And then he likes to just pull it out no matter what, anytime. It's really, really, he's very aggressive
so
and
hold
very
on.
obnoxious about
Okay,
it.
so hold on. So
And
you're
that is-
saying you're at a Playboy Mansion party and you see Ron Jeremy there. And you it's a quick hello conversation, and he whips out his genitalia.
It's almost that quick.
He whips out his genitalia
Almost
in front
every
of you.
single time.
Okay, so in most situations,
And then you're just like, oh my God, what is going on?
In most situations, a man would be arrested for that. Now,
Yeah.
most women find him utterly disgusting. So when this happens, it's at the Playboy Mansion. He whips it out in front of you. What do you do?
I mean, you kind of expect things like that to happen, so you're just like,
So at the Playboy Mansion,
just trying to make it as comfortable as possible.
That's never
honestly.
been my opening move.
No.
I mean, I've got a few, but
Steve-
that's never been my opening move.
I've heard Steve does that from time to time. Also, I don't know. Allegedly, I don't know.
Actually,
That one
I can
wouldn't-
confirm. I was at a party with Ron Jeremy at the Hard Rock for a strip club convention.
And you whipped it out in front of him?
And he whipped
Dude,
it out in
it's
front
what
of
he does.
and
It's
and
insane. You're
it
just
was-
like-
it was 4 guys and 1 girl, and he did the exact. And this was probably 6 months ago.
I would say,
No way.
I would say, dude, put
Absolutely.
that
It's
away.
unreal. It's just like, I mean, I think there's a line to the bathroom, so he kind of hangs out in that area
And just waits
and
for
goes
people.
up and down the line. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I mean, nothing would be worse if Ron Jeremy, thinking of Ron Jeremy schlong being whipped out.
Yeah,
That's
it
like
really isn't.
For a guy like me, that's a nightmare.
Buzzkill.
Yeah, but okay, so you had
A bit
name
of a buzzkill.
Name me some other athletes, or what is like the biggest celebrity that you saw at the Playboy Mansion over the years, because you were there for partying for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine Pauly Shore.
Oh gosh, I'm actually really good friends with him now at this point.
Really?
So yeah, that one, he's great.
Well, she ran chaos, so everyone would always go to Nadia, and that's why when I was at the Palms last year, she's such a hustler. She'd help get all the tables and get everybody in. I mean, she's
love
really
hosting.
good at that. Yeah.
Have
she's
you ever
really
met
good.
Harvey Weinstein?
I could have, but
It's probably a good thing you didn't. No, okay.
Did
So
you meet Marshmallow?
Yes.
So you mentioned Ron Jeremy. That is actually sexual assault, if you ask me.
Probably not at the Playboy Mansion. I don't even think.
Have you
I don't
had
even think there could be a sexual assault thing that happened there.
But you've met a lot of famous people. Have you had any other situations where somebody, not like whipping it out, but somebody that was really inappropriate with you, where you said, you had to get away from them? It was so bad. Like it really bothered you.
I mean, Pauly Shore would have been the next one. That's kind of how we met. He was
so
very
it was just
inappropriate.
it was just the
and
way
then he
was.
showed up the next day at the Roosevelt to find me, and like it was really
What's the
weird.
kind of stuff he says to you? Like, I want to go up to your room, or like what? So you meet a guy like,
let's go watch Biodome.
yeah, like what is he? Like what? But like what? Yeah, that would be a good line. What a horrible
JD
movie.
shoots and scores. he doesn't say much, but when
Yeah.
he does, that was good.
So Pauly Shore was very inappropriate to you.
No, I wouldn't say very inappropriate, but he took it
Too far.
further than anyone ever has.
Yeah.
They don't usually.
If
everyone
only-
leaves at the Playboy Mansion. He'd show up to the Roosevelt.
If only he did that with his career. Yeah, he didn't take that very far. But okay, so that's interesting. All right, so you're in your early 20s now, I would imagine, right? You've done your 3 years at the Playboy Mansion. You've made a name for yourself. What brings you to Las Vegas?
Well, I had gotten the Miss Hard Rock situation, so
Yep.
I used to come visit all the time. They'd fly me in. Back
Yep.
then, it wasn't a DJ situation. It was all like celebrities. So Entourage was always there, and so we'd have to host with Entourage. Kevin Dillon, I'd usually hold his cake. I did 4 of his birthdays.
Johnny Drama?
Yeah.
I love drama.
Yeah, he's an
I used
awesome
to love that
person.
show. My girlfriend from that show is Sloan, Emmanuelle Sharik.
Yeah.
She is so
You're a big fan
beautiful.
of her.
I met her once, and she was so nice to me. I should have asked her out on a date because I'm sure she would go for a guy like me.
Absolutely.
But I love that show, and I know they did an
Did
episode.
Jeremy Piven hit on you?
And I don't.
He's a jerk.
People are just really sweet to me, and so I don't know. I have a very charming personality. I think so. Everyone's
You're
just
very bubbly and outgoing, and
I don't ever think of it
It
as
is
being hit on.
full
I
of
think
energy.
It is
all the
funny. It is funny because I had some friends that I brought to Steve's party the other day, and I'm being honest. I'm being truthful. A couple of my friends said, "Wow, she's so nice. She's so friendly. She's
Yeah, I
so
think
nice."
that's because of where I came from, and that's what nobody expects. I mean, I have this like bitch persona, and like because of the things I've done, people just assume I'm just going to be this awful
Well,
person.
you know what it is, right? A really hot chick who thinks her you-know-what doesn't stink. That's like the persona of a lot of strippers, a lot of models. You see it everywhere.
And you said it. You weren't into sports,
right.
No.
So that's what's crazy too.
So get to where we are at now. You've had your career in Playboy and that sort of thing, and you've met a lot of interesting people like Steve. And now you are focusing on professional sports betting. Let me tell you something. This is an industry where more women are getting involved in this. And
Absolutely. This year I've seen it more than anything.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So tell me why Steve and many others call you the Parlay Princess. Give me a story.
Well, the famous ticket. It was a $15 ticket, and it hit for $45,000.
How does that happen? How many teams did you pick in that ticket?
There were, I think, 13 teams in that ticket.
And you hit okay, so explain this to me. You hit the first 12.
Oh my gosh, I'll never
do you
ever
hedge?
forget that game. So this was like the beginning, and I tried to interact with people. So I tried to throw it up on my Instagram. What should I do that involve people to like engage with me?
Prop swap.
Yeah.
So in that situation, we didn't hedge, and I was in tears at one point during the final game because I think it was an Alabama game because it was half college and half NFL.
Oh, okay.
And it was the underdog, and they came back, and I was like in the room. At that time when I first started sports betting, I had this thing where I thought I was like not lucky if I watched the game, so I refused to watch, and I had the pillow over my head, and I'm praying.
It's very standard.
In every
Very normal.
So you didn't hedge? You didn't bet money the other way to guarantee a profit? You just let it ride? Mm-hmm. Wow. It's okay. So you end up winning how much? 45,000?
Well, because of how much the percent of the wins, you get taxed. So I mean,
I understand, but so the ticket was 15 to
Wasn't
pay
anywhere
around
near
45 grand. And you know what some people would say to that? They'd say, "Oh, she must be just lucky." You
Oh
know.
my gosh! So that's why I stopped for a long time, was because there's so much negative.
Haters,
Because there's
yeah,
so many haters.
Yeah.
And it was, they found my Playboy pictures, which, and then they
Which you would think would be a positive, by the way.
They do that to downplay your intelligence.
Yeah,
obviously.
that's exactly what happened. And so they used it against me, like, oh, she probably blew that money. She's probably spending it. She's taking credit for, a situation because I
put
had
it
a
up her nose.
Listen, I can relate. Listen, I can relate to that because when I say something negative about Donald Trump or I say something that a conservative doesn't agree with, they do a Google search of me being naked and they try to find a picture of me naked and then they post it on their Twitter page. So I totally understand where you're coming from. Okay, so you hit that $15 parlay. You're sick of the negative PR you're getting, which is ridiculous, by the way. I would have had you on our show to say congratulations. This is a great story, like I am now. All right, so a little time passes, and then when do you decide to get back into it?
Well, no, I stayed in it. We won. So there was two of us. My partner was involved at the time, and because I think we did about 3 huge parlays, 10, 8, 13. And how we did, everyone's like, oh, it's just luck, but we kept doing it. We kept doing it. And I think our advantage was he was really, really into college football, and he studied college a lot. He didn't really do anything with NFL. That was my partner at the time.
Okay.
And so
Pauly Shore. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I focus only on NFL. And so picking, 5 to 6 teams is a lot easier. Plus, we were in the super contest. So I had to study 5 to 6 teams anyways.
So do you straight bet now or do you still do parlays?
I still do parlays. And the reason I still do parlays is where I excel is money management. I should have been a financial advisor. That's how I got into learning about parlays anyways, because my partner at the time when he started, he has an addictive personality, and he went from when he stopped, drinking, he started gambling. And then it was like when I was watching him gamble and it turned into sports betting real quick, he was state betting and it was a lot of money. He was losing really fast and he tanked.
How long have you been doing this for?
5 years now.
And you've made a living. This is your job now.
Yes, it was my full-time job until Chaos recruited me.
That's incredible. And you still do it part-time.
So when you did this, was it through William Hill or what was it?
I love William Hill because the
I bet
odds
through
are
Westgate
the
and
best.
they only take 19 parlays, which bothers me.
Yeah.
So this is the cool
Is
thing.
that right?
Yeah. Were there any money lines on there, or was it just all spread?
On the parlay it was all spread.
It was all spread. Wow.
Yeah. I started doing money lines, and this year I actually started doing over-unders.
So this is like a guy's dream, right? Because usually when a guy asks a girl out on a date, which I'll do from time to time, usually it's, hey, let's grab dinner, let's grab some drinks. A guy's dream might be, hey, let's go to the strip club or something. But
Don't
for you,
talk sports.
But for you, if a guy says, hey, let's handicap some games together, you would probably say yes, right?
Yes.
That
yes.
is so sexy.
I had to stop talking about it because I used to be so passionate about it. I'll never forget. I went to the Maxim's Hot 100, and it was like their big party, and a lot of athletes again are there. And
Wait, you were the Maxim's Top 100?
No, I went to the Maxim's Top 100 big party.
But you went to the party, okay.
And it was, I think it was a Super Bowl party because it was up in San Francisco.
Yes.
Right after, and so I end up sitting there and I'm talking. I'm really, in the VIP area, and one of the big basketball announcers came and sat next to me.
Dick Vitale?
I don't remember actually his name. It's horrible. I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with names. And so he sat next to me, and I didn't know who he was. And someone was like, and he's sitting next to me, and he starts talking, and then he brings up sports, and then asks me what I do. And I don't usually like to talk about it because what happens, I get lost in time, and I will just keep going.
Right.
And so I missed the entire party, all the big performers, because it was just going off. He was like, I can't believe you know all this information about football. He was pretty stunned. He does basketball, but it was a lot of fun, and we've become.
Oh yeah. So is it only NFL? Do you do basketball in the season?
I only do NFL.
Oh, you only do NFL.
I don't even do college.
Okay.
Well, there's a big game coming up.
There
next
is.
weekend. We should all 4 handicap the big game.
Are you doing a party? What are you doing, by the way? Hold on.
I have to work. I have
Oh,
too
that
many
sucks.
players, but one of my players, it's cool because one of my players every year will make a bet for me, and he won't let me see it till the fourth quarter, and he knows I love the Chiefs, but it's a sizable amount.
You shouldn't ever watch the game till
And
fourth
so,
quarter,
no.
anyways.
But anyway, so I was going to ask you guys and JD of the Wager Fund. So I put $500 in May on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl at plus 800.
Okay.
So
Good
that's
bet.
$4,000.
That's
So
a great
yeah.
bet.
So I know I got to hedge something because if we do lose the Super Bowl and then I still owe $500, I'm going to be
That's an easy
upset.
A
question.
double,
So-
Yeah.
a double whammy.
Absolutely.
So I was going to, should I just bet $550
Easy.
and then if it hits one,
Easy.
I got a middle.
See, I think that's what you should. I
Not money
believe
line?
the Chiefs win this game easily.
This is going
to
to be a
honest with you.
great Super Bowl
So-
game.
so
It's going to be
under-
unreal, honestly.
I think it goes under, and the Chiefs win this game easily. Honestly, I would probably hedge maybe $750.
See, That's his opinion. Can I give you mine?
I want to know.
Well, let me ask you a question.
I wouldn't
do the middle hedge because
if
Okay, well, let me
lose the
give you my
game and
opinion.
I lose, I'm
Right,
going to get
exactly.
upset.
Let me give you my opinion. Do you want to guarantee yourself a $2,000 profit? It's a simple question. Or like around
or do you want to win 3,300 and watch the Chiefs win the Super Bowl?
Or would you rather win 3,300 or maybe just a 200?
Okay, I would rather not lose any money.
Okay, so here's what you do. It's very simple. Bet $1,800 on San Francisco money line. You're either going to guarantee yourself a $2,000 profit or around a $1,600 profit. So you're either making $2,000 or $1,600.
And that only makes sense if you think that it's a toss-up game. But if you think the Chiefs are going to win the game, then you bet 600 or 700, guarantee yourself some profit.
I think, Brian, my attitude
or the major
is
upside of the
I
Chiefs.
just don't want to lose any money, so that's why I'm going to the 550 and take the 1.5.
Okay.
If it hits the one, which it probably won't, I would get a middle. If not, worst
Take the
case,
money line,
I
though.
break even.
No, well,
okay, then bet the
you
money.
could
listen.
You could catch a middle if it lands on one if the spread is plus 1.5. But
Right.
I would recommend taking the money line because you're going to get even money, or in some books plus 105. So what I would do again.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Isn't it minus 130 right now?
I haven't seen the spread today, but I'm saying if you don't bet 2,000, bet like 1,600 or 1,700 on San Francisco money line. You're pretty much guaranteeing yourself a $2,000 profit.
Okay.
And you could just enjoy the game because you want the Chiefs to win.
And I don't care about
Guarantee a
who wins
profit.
by how much. Yeah, okay.
I understand.
All right.
Listen, I understand what JD's saying too, and I agree with him. I think the Chiefs are going to win. But if I was in your position, and you don't want to gamble $1,000 or $800 or risk a couple $1,000, guarantee yourself
like
a profit.
for example, Steve, I took LSU to win it all a week after the season, and I got them at 60-1 through Westgate.
I saw that. Yeah, that's amazing.
$500 to win 30,500.
He hedged.
And I hedged Clemson. I think I put $6,000 on Clemson to win like 10 or something like that. So I guaranteed myself either a $9,500 profit or a $24,000 profit because I believed LSU was going to blow them out. So in this situation, if you think the Chiefs are going to win the game easily, then guarantee yourself some money, but leave yourself the upside because
it's a personal
it's going to feel good. You're going to watch your team win the Super Bowl.
No, I mean, how do I say that? If I guarantee a couple grand, or I have to do that?
Yeah,
so a couple grand is
make a sizable bet.
Right.
Make a sizable bet. A little less than half the return you would get if you win with the with the Chiefs. Make a sizable 45% bet on the 49ers money line because you're going to get a better payout if it wins and you don't have to risk as much. So you could actually make more than $2,000 if the Chiefs win.
You can hit on both sides.
Yes. Well, not if you bet the money line. If you take plus 1.5, you can. But here's the thing.
You have money line on.
So if you bet 1,700 or 1,800 on the Niners money line, if they lose, you're still going to make a nice profit on the other side. So you're looking at either 20.
Good advice.
Yeah, you're looking at.
That's why we came here today.
Depending on exactly how much money you bet, you're looking at maybe around at least a $2,200 profit or maybe a $1,700.
Because every year and last year I bet 500 on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl as soon as I can.
Yeah.
It's a heart bet.
What do you think is the biggest bet that one of your clients is going to be putting down on this game?
A lot.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have
It's a
one guy
common-
that's coming in with $500,000-600,000. He bet
my God.
$20,000 on the coin toss. He's a guy that makes a bet for me, and I think just to mess with me, he's going to bet the 49ers, and I'm going to open it in the fourth
absolutely.
quarter. And I want my Chiefs, but
there's
man,
your
I want
hedge.
this.
That's
good
true.
call.
She makes a good
Exactly.
point.
No, but he never tells me until the fourth quarter. He might bet the Chiefs.
If that's the case, I
Well,
honestly
and how
would. I'd
big
stay
is
with
that
your
bet that he usually makes for you?
Nice.
It's going to be bigger than
Substantial? Yeah.
500
More
on
than
the
I would
future.
win if I didn't hedge.
So we only have about a minute left here to go. First of all, let me say, Nadia, Steve, I love having you in, Steve. all
Oh,
the time.
thanks.
It's always a
It's
great
so
time.
much fun.
So, Nadia, give out some of your information. If people want to know your picks or if people want to follow you on social media, give out that information.
Well, my Instagram is Nadia_Nicole with no E. I haven't been on Twitter this year, but it's the Parlay Princess. I will probably engage a little more on Twitter. My Instagram is extremely large, so it's a full-time
She's
job.
like
in
30,000
itself.
followers.
So I just try to manage that right now. I don't use Facebook anymore either.
So listen, we're going to go to the sports book together. I'm going to bring a couple candles with me. It'll be a nice romantic situation, and we're just going to sit there.
do it.
And we're going to break
That
down
would be an
games.
ideal date, an ideal first date. No one's asked me on that. Let's do it.
We're just going to sit there and we're going to break down games for hours on end. Okay, you can't get
As long
more.
as there's a candlelight and maybe even a red and white, picnic table.
Absolutely.
Checker.
Absolutely.
Checkered.
I can totally deal with that.
I like
It's a
that.
cheap
I
date
think we
too because
should
it
do
won't
it.
cost me a lot of money. I don't have to take you to a steakhouse and wine and dine you.
No way.
I mean, I do that with JD every day and he doesn't put out. So I mean, anyway. Well, all seriousness, Nadia, thanks for coming in. Really appreciate it.
for
Steve,
having
anything
me.
you want to plug?
Just Ellis Island in the front yard. Great place to watch the game. I'm
It
hoping
is.
I can sneak away and
Is
actually
that why
watch
you're watching
it.
the game?
I hope so because they have an
That'd be fun.
18-foot screen there, and I want to end up at the front yard.
we
18
love
foot.
and we love the
18-foot. It's an amazing. That screen costs more than my house.
Wow.
and we love the Ellis family. They do a fantastic job over there
agree.
as well. Well, Steve, Nadia, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank
When we
you.
come
Yeah,
back,
thanks a lot, Steve and Nadia.
the man who spent time behind bars with Jeffrey Epstein, William Mercy, he's going to be joining us coming up. Stay tuned for that. It's the Vegas Take, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.